Panagopoulou. Probably I would introduce myself as somebody who is very much passionate about the new European research area, the new policy that we have put in place the last 2 years, together with the member states, together with the stakeholders, looking forward to deliver the actions that have been agreed at the Council around this new European research area. Among those actions, it's of course knowledge valorization. So what we can do more to bring value to our research results. And even nowadays, with the crisis that we had COVID-19 crisis, now we have the invasion of Russia to Ukraine. So knowledge valorization and how we can best use our research results, it is in the heart of our policy developments. It's in the heart of how you are delivering research, you will be able to make the best use of this outcome, transfer them to the market, to ensure technological leadership of Europe, and to create new possibilities for alternative energy production, for alternative fertilizer, for food security, for alternative and new technologies to ensure European sovereignty. So it has been always one of the priorities in the new European research area. It's now even more. Our sessions today, it is very much focused on how universities could be the agents for the knowledge valorization. So what they can do so that they ensure the excellent research that they are doing and innovations that they'll come up could be taken up by the market. And could be taken up at the market at local level, because universities could be strong stakeholders in the context of local innovation ecosystems, could be taken by the market at European level if those universities are interconnected with other actors across Europe. And this is actually what we have tried to do over the years with the research and innovation program that we have put in place. We're trying to put together and to pull together actors across research and innovation in Europe. And we have established partnerships. We have now the new missions that they are going to deliver concrete results that matters for the society. We have engaged collaboration between research infrastructures, universities, public and private authorities. So everything is in place, but we still see that there's something missing in order to have the maximum benefit out of the research results. There are still obstacles. And what we hope to do with those days, the 4 days that we have today, but also with the input, as Yanni said, of your best practices, is to make evident and clear to everybody what is the best ways to valorize the results of the research. And through the guidelines that the Commission is preparing, with the co-creation with all of you, we would like to provide a practical tool that could be used in order to have the maximum impact with our research results. So I don't want to spend more of your time, because we have fantastic speakers with us that will be able to share their experience and their best practices. And I would like really to invite, first of all, Silvia Lenaerts, the Vice-Rector of University of Antwerp, and Jurgen, the Head of Valorization Unit in University of Antwerp, that they will share with us their experience on how they dealt, how they have been working together with their ecosystem, and how they were able to put value to their knowledge. With us, we have also today Angelika Zelisko, the University of Applied Arts Vienna, and Tobias Reckling, the team manager of University of Vienna, where they are going to share with us their other experience from Vienna. So, looking forward to listen to your presentations, to the best examples that we have, and of course to animate very interesting discussion with all the participants on what could be done to transfer also this knowledge, this experience to others, and maybe to reply what is the success or the challenges that we have through your experience. Let's start with the presentation. Angelika, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the very nice introduction, and I will now try to share my presentation. I hope you can all see it.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for giving us these opportunities to present what we are doing in Antwerp. So our vision is that as a university, we have a huge responsibility because we have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of resources, a wealth of people, talent, infrastructure, equipment, and we really want to create value for society. And with valorization, we mean not only financial value, economical value, but also social, cultural, ethical, and environmental value. So we really want to bridge the gap between knowledge and innovation for the benefit of economy and society by means of new products, processes, but also organizations and business models. So valorization is not only about disciplines, it's about connecting the different disciplines within the university, but also with actors outside of the university, with society, with business, with policymakers, and with citizens. So it's about people connecting people on a joint challenge, on joint goals. It's not creating more organizations, more structures. It's about connecting people. And that's why we need a strategy to translate our vision into actions. And we need clear milestones based on what we want to achieve in our roadmap towards valorization. Most important is people, connecting people and creating teams with people with the right skills. Because at a university, we typically have researchers, but we often lack the skills to go the next step, to go to innovation. That's why we have what we call valorization managers, and they are the responsible person to connect with the outside world. By creating teams of valorization managers, researchers, and experts, for instance, on IP, on business development, and of course with a clear vision to our goals, we want to be a driver. We want to act as an independent, critical partner in our knowledge innovation ecosystem. We need multidisciplinary teams and we need talent. For us, it's also very important to connect students and student entrepreneurship to the challenges that we are facing. It's not only about researchers, it's also about citizens and students. And I think as a university, we have a lot of critical mass. We can take the lead in innovation ecosystems by building these partnerships, long-term partnerships towards clear goals with industry, government, and society. So what's important? Very important is, of course, focus. A university has a lot of people, a lot of knowledge, a lot of disciplines, a lot of faculties, all in different silos. And that's why we need to bring focus. Define the USP based on an outside-in view. Of course, every researcher, every team thinks he is very good, he is or she is excellent. But the outside-in view should assist in defining the focus areas. Every university is embedded in a region with specific strengths, and these strengths help to determine what are the real focus points, what are the USPs, which domains are really important to bring value to society. It's important to work multidisciplinary and involve entrepreneurs. And typically, these entrepreneurs are often not at the university. That's why we want to make partnerships with entrepreneurs, with employers' organizations, with citizens, and also with students. And deliver. As a university, people think it's a silo. It's not based on delivering. You really have to deliver to build trust, to create a long-term partnerships. And that's why we have created infrastructure locations where people can meet, work together on very well-focused projects with milestones and with going beyond. And only those people that are willing to entrepreneur together with people outside the university are welcome in our dedicated infrastructure. That's the exercise that we did, and that's how we defined our 3 multidisciplinary valorization domains. We are in Antwerp. We have the second biggest chemical cluster in the world, so sustainable chemistry and materials is a very evident one. That's located at the Blue App building. It's a building close next to the chemistry incubator of the chemical sector, and on a brownfield that is being that has been refurbished to a circular economy business area. The second area is, of course, related to the city. Antwerp is a bustling city with a lot of challenges, a lot of mobility, logistics issues that we really see as opportunities to work together with citizens, with students, and with companies. We have also jointly created the big connection together with industry and the city to improve the mobility in the city of Antwerp. And the third one, unfortunately a relevant one, is infectious diseases, where we, together with the Institute of Tropical Medicine and several big companies, work on creating pandemic preparedness, to be better prepared for the next pandemic. Of course, you not only need people, you also need funding. This is a schematic overview, but of course it's not linear. We provide funding together with the Flemish government. We have an industrial research fund where we can fund very well focused low TRL projects to go to the next step towards the market with clear milestones, clear deliverables, projects of 1 year, where we form teams of researchers and external people to make the next step towards more applied, towards product development, towards introduction to the market. We also recently created an Antwerp Innovation Fund, where we provide additional funding with the obligation to form a team with entrepreneurs from outside the university to go to prepare our projects better to venture capitalists or other funding organizations. So again, here, very strong focus on talent. The monitoring, the success factors are the key, the IOF parameter that determines the funding that we get from the Flemish government. We have 2, let's say, stability parameters, which are the PhDs and the publications. And then we have the industrial revenue parameter 3, which is very important because I believe it's not only about creating spin-offs, it's also about cooperation, setting long-term partnerships with existing big and smaller companies. It's not only creating new ones, but also introducing innovation in existing companies. And then, of course, the patents and in the European projects are really important. So in our vision, also long-term partnerships, common roadmaps, and shared infrastructure where we connect the people are really important to bridge the gap between knowledge and innovation. This is a small example, a company that originally wanted to build smart badges, but by the input from industry related to the Beacon, one of our 3 pre-incubation structures, and of course nicely connected with the chemical sector, they switched from valve position sensors. And yes, this I thought I had another slide. I'm very sorry. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm absolutely open for questions.
Thank you very much, Sylvie. I would like to start with a couple of questions to you. It's a very interesting presentation, and then the participants, they could also send their questions in the Slido, which we could use and would be asked to you. So my first question to you, and based on what you said about developing entrepreneurial skills for the researchers, and which is of course very important if we want to motivate them to think entrepreneurial. So is it easy? Just because we develop a lot of policies internally in the Commission, in discussion with the stakeholders about the skills, about how we assess the research performance, about how we can develop more links with the industry, the sectorial mobility, and to develop this mindset and the incentives for researchers to think more about business and even to choose a career towards business. Is it something that it's achievable, or what are the challenges for that?
This is a very interesting question. And first thing is, not everybody is an entrepreneur. So I think you have to stimulate the entrepreneurial skills of those who are interested and who have the talent to be entrepreneurial. And not everybody is entrepreneurial. So you should bring in entrepreneurs from outside the university and connect them, make the connection with the research team. Everybody should focus on his or her strengths. And it's not only the researchers that have to become more entrepreneurial, it's connecting real entrepreneurs, often outside the universities, to the research team, and form new teams with entrepreneurs from outside the university and researchers, and go together towards innovation. And I think a very important thing is joint people with double roles, professors that also are connected to industry, people from business that have an appointment at the university so that they can engage students in the projects of the company. And we often think and act too much in silos. You are or at the university or in industry.
Yes.
I think we should much more stimulate the joint assessment, the double affiliations, people with part-time roles in a university or in a company, so that for their own teaching, for their own PhDs, for their own theses, they can really take live cases that are existing and work on challenges, and not try to make every researcher an entrepreneur. That definitely will not work, because it's another profile, it's another mindset, and you cannot change that.
And this is really music in my ears, because we are developing a new tool under Horizon Europe, under widening part, the ERA Talent, which indeed it will have the objective to make this mobility between university, business, and maybe back to university, but then to develop this double role for those that they are capable to do so as well. You spoke about partnerships that you have to establish. So you look at the commitment from the citizens, from the industry, from the university. And there is a nice question, which I would say relevant in the Slido. An effective ecosystem requires strong governance. What is the model in which your ecosystem carries out its operations?
Yes, it's indeed a very important question, because the governance at the university is typically not well placed to solve this kind of thing. So we made a separate business unit within the university, which is only in charge of our 3 focus domains, which is very lean and which can go very fast in making decisions, in putting milestones, in assessing staff. And it's a kind of business within the university, and it's separated from all the other rather heavy structures, but it makes use of the expertise that is present within the university, because we need the expertise of the researchers, we need the expertise of the valorization, business development, IP experts. We make use of that, but we act as a separate entity.
Thank you very much. I have a last question from my side before moving to the next presentation. What we can do more at EU level to support you? What you're missing, what EU could do for you?
I think maybe less fragmentation. There is a lot on innovation ecosystem, but if I put myself in the position of a company, it's not easy to find where can I go. Simplify the entrance for companies and for partnerships, and support the partnerships, support the universities as driving force in innovation ecosystem partnerships, and make it reduce the fragmentation.
Thank you very much. Very good point, which we'll certainly take on board. So thank you very much, Silvia, for this very clear presentation and the follow-up questions. Certainly we'll come back in the Q&A session with more questions. But now I would like to take the opportunity to invite Angelika and Tobias to present their best practice coming from Vienna and to compare the difference between Vienna and Antwerp, maybe, or the similarities. So, Silvia, Angelika, the floor is yours.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning.
Is the presentation now shared? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm happy to present our project, which was called Innovation Matters, Interdisciplinary Knowledge Exchange for Societal Challenges, Networks, Methods, Transfer. In order to give you a little bit an overview about how the framework of the project was and how this project even could take place, I'm explaining a little bit about the framework of the project. So please go to next slide. The project took place under the framework of the Knowledge Transfer Centers. The Knowledge Transfer Centers were initiated by the Ministry of Science, but also operated through the Austrian Promotion Bank. There were two funding periods. One was 2014 to 2018, and the second one was 2019 until 2021. There were funding for 3 regional consortia of universities and universities of applied sciences in Austria. So there was the Knowledge Transfer Center East, which was Vienna and Law Austria, West, which was Innsbruck and Salzburg, and South, which was Graz and Carinthia. The aim of the knowledge transfer centers was to support all aspects of knowledge and technology transfer, including the social sciences, humanities, and the arts. The total funding for the period 2019 to 2021 was 900,000 euro per consortia. The Knowledge Transfer Center East, in which our project took place, consisted out of a consortium of 9 universities and 3 universities of applied sciences, and approximately 20 external partners, stakeholders like the funding agencies, City of Vienna, and different media institutes. The innovation, to tell you a little bit about our project, Innovation Matters. The project itself was very interdisciplinary. So the project lead was consisting out of University of Applied Arts Vienna, me and Tobias Reckling, which is from University of Vienna. Partners were University of Technology in Vienna, University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences, University of Applied Sciences Campus Vienna, University of Applied Sciences Technicum Vienna, the University of Music and Performing Arts, and the University of Veterinary Medicine Vienna. The external partner were, for example, the Vienna Business Agency, the Vienna Science and Technology Funds, the City of Vienna, and SDG Watch Austria. The aim was to foster inter- and transdisciplinary cooperation to address societal challenges by supporting the establishment of mission-driven interdisciplinary knowledge exchange networks, which was project part 1. The second part of the project was teaching of open science and innovation methods. And the third part of the project was developing new transfer formats with industrial and societal partners. To focus on the first project part, which was called Networks, the aim was to establish inter- and transdisciplinary knowledge exchange networks by the conceptualization and organization of small-scale inter- and transdisciplinary networking events on specific topics. This was on invitation only. For example, we developed a format, a networking and exchange format, which was called Research Salon. How did this Research Salon look like? Please, next slide. For example, the Research Salon, which took place in November 2019 and was, because of pre-corona, an on-site format, was under the topic health and care. It was involving researchers from 6 universities from different disciplines, the arts, technology, life sciences, SSH, and others, plus local stakeholders and practitioners. For example, the Board of Trustees of the Vienna's retirement homes, the City of Vienna, or the Caritas Care Unit. The second part of the project was focusing on methods. The aim was the communication and teaching of open science and open innovation methods for scientists and practitioners. by the organization of very topic-specific hands-on workshops following the research salon. For example, after the research salon Health and Care, a citizen science workshop with researchers and practitioners under the topic Open Science and Nursing took place in a retirement home. There were other workshops under in the sub-project methods, which was, for example, like 2 to 3 workshops on open science methods per year. For example, open science methods and environmental research, or open education methods, or very specific sandbox citizen science with open hardware and open data for SDG 11, or a very successful webinar with over 100 participants, how to win grants with open science. Those workshops were open to all researchers and all people from the outside, from all disciplines. The third project part was focusing on transfer. The aim was following the establishment of networks and methods workshops to just make transfer happen. By the development of knowledge and transfer, by the development of transfer or knowledge exchange pilots, for example, we created an open science shop, an online open science shop, together with the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna, or hackathons, for example, citizen science meets societal challenges. To give you a little bit of an insight on how these hackathons look like, there was a hackathon about the topic Digital Solutions for Societal Challenges, focusing on environment and mobility. The aim was the development of digital participatory prototypes for societal challenges by interdisciplinary teams. The challenges were predefined by the city of Vienna, including open datasets. The mentors were experts from the city of Vienna, and the hackathon took place with cooperation partners, for example, city of Vienna, of course, or the NGO SDG Watch Austria, different startups, Digital City Vienna, or the Urban Innovation Vienna. To sum up, the goal and output of the project is, if we want to summarize I want to quote one of our networking partners, which said, "If we strive for better research and greater impact on society, we cannot stay within our own discipline. Bridging disciplines and other sectors will increase understanding, excellence, and effectiveness. Co-production between disciplines and further engagement with societal actors leads to greater understanding of complex problems and the development of feasible and sustainable solutions."
Thank you very much, Angelika, for the very clear presentation. I have 1 or 2 questions made to you, and then I go to Slido. The first one is related to open science. You had, as part of your project, a very strong focus on open science. And open science is one of the values and principles that we put in the new European research area. So I just wanted to ask you very concretely, whether do you believe open science is the way that we can achieve knowledge valorization?
Yes, do you want to answer it, or should I?
I can start. I mean, it's the way. I always think there are many pathways to reaching knowledge valorization, and also want to make a point that what's often happening recently is that open science is sometimes mixed with open innovation. So they're very 2 different things. So if you go for an open innovation approach, it's really something else. It shouldn't be mixed with open science, but certainly open science, it's an important methodology and tool in order to reach knowledge valorization.
Thank you very much. Very clear. And I have another question before I go to Slido, which is, I think, a question relevant to what I see in Slido. It is up to the university or more to the regional authorities to initiate collaboration with eventual potential ecosystem players? Who should take the initiative?
Difficult to say, because on the one hand, I think it's also part of the university's duties to just think further and not stay within their own pathway and disciplines and task lists. But of course, funding is just a helper to just bring things up. But the problem with funding is also if it's top down, you maybe miss out smaller initiatives which are not so loud and strong as the already big players. So it has two sides.
Okay, thank you very much. So there is one question in Slido. Silvia already tried to provide her replies, but the question is, how do you see expanding these ecosystems to link with actors outside the local or regional area? I think it's the issue of fragmentation as well, a little bit here. How important is it to have physical space for the clusters? Can it also be a virtual hub?
Yeah, sorry. Angelika, you want to start?
No, start, please.
I think a physical space is really important because it's about people that know each other and that know who is good at what. But of course, virtual space can complement on that. But by only meeting people in virtual space, you don't have automatically the reflex to connect, to really build business. If you also have to make things and I think the physical connection and especially the people talking to each other about other things that are outside of their comfort zone brings more creative ideas and more realizations in innovation. Often what we see in the Beacon, for instance, several ideas were originally absolutely not the idea of the companies that were sitting there, but just by talking to each other, new roads to innovation came up. And then the international, outside the actors, I think that is really important because that is Europe, and Europe should connect, and Europe should act and talk as one voice. And so it's really important that we share our best practices and also let people go elsewhere and spread the virus of innovation. So I think that is really important, not to build new silos, but to connect over the silos.
Angelika, thank you very much, Silvia. Angelika, from your side?
I just realized that if you, sometimes it's kind of a handicap if you already have to cannot test an idea and already have to come up with a physical location as well, because the physical location needs a lot of maintenance and it comes with a bigger responsibility too, because you have to take care of a physical space too. So of course it is very good to have a physical location where the people know they can go and do things, but sometimes for the first part of the project it's also good to be able to start without the big physical space on your shoulders.
Thank you. I don't know whether Tobias or Jurgen would like to add anything on this question.
No, I think it's important that you have an environment where you can create trust and that you can come together out of the daily activities, because it doesn't need to be a special building. It can also be a room or a place where you can do that, because otherwise you have too much interaction with the daily work, and you should be really focused on the topic and try to have maybe brainstorm moments and things like that in a more in an environment which is not a daily work environment. This will have more impact on the trust building and the communication between all parties, I think.
Thank you, Jürgen. Tobias?
Yeah, and I want to add, as Angelika mentioned before, the project she presented as a cooperation of 9 universities and the Free University of Applied Sciences. So what was already really helpful is to offer researchers maybe from our institution to go to a space at another institution. So to go to an arts university, very different space, or even medical university or somewhere else where they get out of their own environment, go somewhere else. And it's also, we found, rather attractive for external cooperation partners to get also this inside field for the universities and which are around. I mean, Vienna has as we argued, 9 universities. So, and a lot of people don't know about it. So it even gives them, I think, improves the mutual understanding also to open up for external partners at various locations.
Very clear message, and I have to say that I agree. It's important that people there brought together as well physically. There are two questions in the Slido, and I would suggest that we start with one, which I mean, actually, it's important also in the reflections that we have as well. Silvia, you already replied, but if you can take for 2 minutes the floor, you and or Jurgen, to say whether the strategy has been developed together with the administration of the city of Antwerp, so the regional authority.
Yes, I think that is really important to define the focus areas. We connected with several organizations, with the city, with the employers organization, but also with citizens organizations, and with challenges that we notice in the press that had to be solved. So I think that is really important to set the roadmap and the strategy based on the needs of society, of the regional strength and the regional challenges. And that's why every university can develop its own identity and build further together with the region. So I think that is really important.
And if I complement that with another question from my side, you have the society, you have the regional authority, you develop your innovation, you have your focus area. If you want to deploy or to bring it to the market and to scale up, do you need to have the industrial partner around your region, or it could be in another region in Europe or in another country in Europe?
Yes, definitely. They have a first right of negotiation, but if nobody picks it up, we go elsewhere. We really want to leverage the idea, and it is absolutely not obliged to stay in that smaller circle, but they provide the spark. We build together, and somebody else can become a partner in a later phase, but it should be open. It's really important what Angelika said. It should be open innovation. The project should be open for new partners. If some new finding pops up, often you see in a project that you lack the relevant skills for the development of that new finding, and then you have to be able to introduce new partners. So,
thank you, Jurgen. Anything to add on this?
No, I think it's very important to also go on an international level, because sometimes you are working on projects which are for the total world, which have an impact on the total world, and you need to have these international organizations, and then you need to try to engage them to become partner of your ecosystem. So you can also try to have interaction with international organizations, that they have maybe a seat or an office in your ecosystem, so that you have also close interaction with these international organizations. I think that's also important to keep them connected in your ecosystem.
Thank you. So there is another question. Maybe I will turn now to Angelika and Tobias. Can you give an example of a policy measure or a tool which has acted as a game changer for your ecosystem? Angelika, Tobias, who would like to react?
Maybe I can start with the subtopic of entrepreneurship, for instance, of university spin-offs. So it always was a challenge. I think it's a challenge for everyone to really support successfully university spin-offs, which also survive for a while. So certainly a game changer was in Austria to develop a proper funding scheme for proper pre-seed research before the start of the actual spin-off. So further research can be developed. In Austria, a funding scheme for up to 18 months. And that's certainly a game changer for research-based innovation. And it's necessary to develop funding schemes like that. But that's just a small-scale example. Like, it's a bit hard to think about one tool or one policy that changed everything. But I think there are a lot of small-scale policies and tools that change part of the ecosystem in Austria when it comes to knowledge exchange and knowledge valorization.
Thank you, Tobias. Angelika, something to add?
Yeah, it's, as Tobias said, it's hard to say there was not one big thing, but what we also discovered is during our project period, the interdisciplinary gain more and more importance, and this also helps if if you want to connect researchers, and there are also proper funding schemes which are already by itself interdisciplinary, like you need other disciplines in order to apply for different fundings, then of course this project was then more and more successful because we also saw that it's really needed. Of course, we already knew that this is very necessary what we're doing, but then when you see that local funding agencies pick also up the topic of interdisciplinarity, then you see that it's getting more and more important. The same with citizen science as well.
Thank you very much. Very interesting points and actually very interesting discussion. We have still 4 minutes for this session. And I don't think I see any other questions from the Slido. So I would like to finish our interaction by asking each one of you to have a final statement, convey a message. What we have to do to bring a success at European level. What needs to be done? What do you think? What is your main message to all of us, to the European Commission, to the participants? What is your main message? Starting with Silvia.
Thank you very much. This is a huge question. I think the main message is that the innovation capacity and the driving role of the university should be enlightened much more, and the landscape of providing funding of talented people, the exchange of people, and the role of innovation ecosystems for young people to do something and to act together to build a better future, that their universities in Europe have a huge role to play.
Thank you. Very clear message and recognized in the new communication that we have, some of the university strategies for Europe, as well as in the European research area, and probably in the new strategy that we are developing for innovation. Point taken. Jurgen?
I think for me, because we make some more and more complex partnerships, and of course we need to take into account the regulations, and especially if you want to work together between academics and industry, sometimes you have also topics like state aid, and that's sometimes blocking the collaboration. So if we could have more easier rules in early phase of research between academics and industry, that will also help us to not be blocked by regulations or be in panic about regulations, so that we can easier go forward with our projects.
Very strong message, Jurgen. Knowledge valorization is fine, guidelines is fine, but if in practice we have regulatory obstacles, things cannot deliver as they should. I will pass the message to my colleagues in DG.com. It's not easy question and discussion, I would say. Yeah? So, Angelika, from your side.
I would say the enabling of younger and small scale, on the one hand, small scalar initiatives and funding schemes, which are not like very big, and you have to have a very big consortia, and also to focus more on younger researchers, because they do have the drive, but not yet the experience and the publication lists and the project list you need to apply for bigger fundings, but have the drive and the power to do also interesting and important things.
Okay, so bring young people. It's the year of European youth. So we have to make the utmost to bring them in the scene and give them more opportunities to be part of the game, basically. Yeah? Thank you very much. Tobias?
First of all, I would very much support Jürgen's statement. That's really important. Think about the roots. And then I would say we shouldn't forget about the importance of the local and regional level. I mean, it must be the basis for any further international European corporations, but much of innovation also when it comes to trust of citizens, of the public in research innovation happens on the local level. It must happen on the local level. So to align research funding accordingly, I think that would be an important step to make it more easy for even small scale initiatives to access this kind of research funding and develop knowledge valorization and innovation in a city, in a region, in a country.
Very important, and I have to say that this is indeed an enabler for local-based innovation. So we will take with us these messages from your side. I would like to thank all of you for these excellent presentations, excellent discussion. Many thanks to the audience for listening to us and also for asking the questions. And I would like to conclude by just thanking you and also saying that our next steps are very clear. They are very clear in the context of knowledge visualization, and we hope that this week is going to give us all the input that we will need in the Commission in order to finalize our guideline principles, but also it will keep us on discussing with you. So this is not the 4 days and open and close. We have to continue. We have to continue the discussion with you in the next weeks and months. And the second takeaway that I would like to conclude is that innovation matters for Europe. Innovation matters and happens at local level, at regional level, and it happens at European level. And we have to develop the policies and the enabling instruments, including knowledge valorization, that will help the innovators of Europe not only to bring the results of research and innovation to the market, but to link themselves and to be supported by public regional authorities in order to lead as Europe overall the technological developments that we need. So thank you very much.